afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to QuickBooks Labs. Welcome to 2022 yet again. And QuickBooks Labs is a monthly podcast designed to be the place to learn all about the world of QuickBooks and other accounting software. On the first Wednesday of each month, or maybe we'll change that for next month, and more about that in a moment, we hang around these microphones to talk about all of the latest news tips for QuickBooks itself. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Patrick, a chartered accountant, a owner of an accounting firm called Bofix, a QuickBooks certified trainer with fancy logo just up here, and also the owner of the accounting or the web YouTube channel called Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks Chat. With me, as always, is my co-host, one and only Ash. How's it going, Ash?
Fantastic, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, myself, Ash Beetson, bookkeeper / accountant / app developer / author I don't know, I can think of a few other things. I won't go into bore you into too much detail. I'll pass it back over to you, Aaron.
Brilliant. So just making sure we all know about the format and how this all works. Well, we try and get ourselves live at 4:30 p.m. or 10:30 a.m. US Central Time. So if you listen to this back, as a lot of you do, on a later time, then why not think about joining us live? And that way you can ask us questions, bring in some elements, just like we've got here. Hiya, how's it doing, Charity Accountants? And we can then make sure that you guys keep us honest and answer your burning question. And especially today, whereas Ash is about to bring in what we got to go, we've got a special guest. So we will definitely want to get your questions in for that. Ash, what have we got on for today's agenda for the show?
We've got a great little show in store today. So we'll look through a little bit of news, just some updates in QuickBooks, new customer, look at the new changes in the mobile app, a little bit of what I feel a backward step within the audit log. And then we'll be chatting to Anita from Live Flow. So if you're needing to sort of look at consolidating accounts and you want to bring those into Excel, stay tuned because there's some more great stuff to come on that.
Wonderful. So shall we jump straight into that first news topic? As we expect, a bit light on the ground today. As you can imagine, we've got a few kind of changes coming next month, we hope, with QuickBooks Connect only around the corner. So we weren't expecting many changes to come, but we've found a few little niblets that have come through and some that have been worthwhile to talk about. So the first one is the mobile app itself. It's had a bit of a change, a bit of a facelift going on there. I don't know if you can notice that there, Ash. But bottom there, we now have a new little red dot appearing, and we have the option for a new tile called My Business. And as you can see here, what they're trying to do is consolidate that information, make that information and that data that we've got in QuickBooks Online actually relevant for clients and stuff that can be useful for them. And I quite like this. I think this is a nice little addition to it. It's obviously in its infancy. There's going to be more items being asked or being added soon. And we also have cash flow as its own dedicated tab as well. So that's exactly how we can see it before. No real changes here to what's happening in the cash flow area. But that My Business one is looking quite nice. I mean, it's a subtle change, and I think it's just an opportunity for people to kind of see if there's any almost like a to-do list by the looks of it, from what I can tell with it. But what do you think to it, Ash?
Yeah, I do like it. I'm just having a little play on my mobile app as well, because obviously I'm an Android user, and I would like to compare the two whenever you ping up your iPhone, and yeah, they are pretty much the same. I don't know whether it's because the file that I'm in at the moment, I don't have the cash flow on my particular file. I don't know whether that's still lacking in the Android version, whether it's just the company file I'm looking at the moment.
It could be that way. It could be multi-currency if you're multi-currency turned on.
Yeah, maybe I'll have a look at it. But no, it looks great. It's a little bit neater and tidier. Just having that sort of that reporting function, separated out at the bottom of the screen. So it does make it easy to navigate around the phone.
I'm wondering if this is foreshadowing kind of what's going to happen, because obviously at some point we're going to have the the mobile banking element to it somehow with QuickBooks Cash, and that's going to, I imagine that's going to involve the mobile app as well. It's not just going to be browser based. I think that'll be quite a backward step if it's just browser based, wouldn't it? But I wonder if they're kind of foreshadowing that the functionality of the maybe the kind of banking section is going to be part of this area. Maybe I'm just guessing here, but what do you think to that idea?
It sort of makes sense, because if you want to get to something pretty quickly, like an advance or cash advance on directly into your bank, if you can get there within as few clicks as possible, it does make sense. And maybe you do that by going through cash flow, and then you might find your bank details in there, and where you need to get advances against invoices. I think that's probably if I was thinking, where do I need cash, I might want to go, I want to increase my cash flow, I'll go to the cash flow button.
Yeah, because they're kind of going to have to not fight the others, but they've got to be very mindful of what functionality a quote unquote traditional bank can give you, isn't it? And they've got to somehow incorporate that into the app. And maybe they'll have their own separate QuickBooks Cash app. I don't know, but I would have thought they would try and keep it all consolidated. That's if the functionality is in here and they're trying to entice new customers and new people to use their banking solution. If it's all in one app, I think that's an easy win for them, isn't it, to bring them into the platform?
Yeah. I'm always a little bit. I still can't quite. I'm just playing around while you're looking at that, and I was just playing on my phone at the same time.
Yeah.
When you click on today at the bottom left, I always wonder, is today the best word for that button?
Yeah.
Because I don't immediately think today is.
No, it's a very good point. I mean, it's supposed to be kind of your well, I suppose in some respects it's supposed to be your kind of to-do list, isn't it? Your task list and to do this bit here and get those transactions completed and all that sort of stuff. But then you've also got some reporting elements, and it's more of a dashboard than a today. But yeah, I think you're right. The term doesn't quite fit, but I mean, what else would you call it? I suppose that's we've been down this route before, haven't we? Trying to
answers on a postcard. Stick your suggestions into the comments, please.
Exactly right. All right. Yeah. So I think there's a nice little upgrade. I quite like that. I think that's going in the right direction. The app has always been a strong part of QuickBooks itself, and I think it's just getting better and better, isn't it? So that's good to see. My next bit of news that I wanted to bring into play was if I was to go to my sales, go to customers, a very small update, this one, and I went to press new customer, I'm getting a whole new interface to play around with. Now, from what I can tell, functionality wise, it's exactly the same. I've tried to kind of remember what was in the old screen. If you remember, the old screen used to take up the whole of it. Now we've kind of going back to that whole, not taking up the full screen at a time. And it looks like functionality wise, we've pretty much got every single thing there than we did before. It's just, in my opinion, a nice slicker, UI for it. What do you think to that, Ash?
Do you know, I'm a little bit, I don't know, torn on this one.
Okay.
Because originally when I saw it, I thought, yeah, I really do like that. And then I don't know, I was just editing something the other day, and I thought, I don't know if this view is actually any better. I don't know whether I was going to edit a customer, and I think that's where you are. Are you in the edit or new customer?
I just went new, but edit means the same,
doesn't
it?
It just, I don't know, it felt like I couldn't see everything as I could before. I don't know. Yeah, it does look. It looks nicer.
Yeah.
I'm not at the moment. I'm not totally convinced it's an improvement.
Okay.
At the moment,
okay.
So I'm slightly on the fence on this one.
No, I can see what you're saying. I mean, I like the new approach that we've got a standardized UI now, haven't we? Like, you think about if you had a new a rule, if you had a new customer, if you had a new the fact that they're kind of more standardized now, they're always in that same kind of format. I think that's great. I like the fact that we can still see what's happening behind the screen, and it's not taking up the whole screen. It gives us a chance to, maybe there's something you're trying to copy and paste or something, or you're trying to use that as a reference point or something. That's quite useful. I like that bit. But yeah, it's interesting that you say that it's a bit more difficult to use, maybe not as user friendly, possibly. But I think ultimately most people never went past this box anyway, did they? It was, I would say hand on heart, probably about my clients, 80% of them, that's all they'll ever use is that top section. And the rest was always kind of dead space anyway to them. Whereas the people who do use this, they swear by every other field that's there, don't they? And they run their whole business based on the information that's there, and they couldn't go without it. So I suppose that's kind of maybe where QuickBooks has kind of gone with. It's like most people just care about that top bit. They don't, the rest of it wasn't any use to them. So let's just give them that area, possibly.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is when it's not so much when you create the customer. So I definitely agree. When you create the customer, you're only really interested in the main bits, the name and the address most of the time. But I do find that when you go to edit, I don't see all of the information as clearly perhaps as I'd like. So when you just edit the customer, I think I just like the layout. I guess it's just my sort of preference, really.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, and I suppose this screen here has never been utilized as much as well. I suppose you've got the customer details area. I mean, maybe that's what they're trying to use, and randomly that now just brings that instead of having to edit that bit. So yeah, it maybe you can see what they're going for here, but maybe you're right. Maybe for kind of old school users, it's a little bit more of a backward step.
Yeah, I think so, because from memory, when you used to go to edit before, did you get the 4 tabs of the
yeah, exactly,
customer tax so I could see at a glance what areas I want to go into, whereas that one I do have to you've got to scroll down, and I don't know. I've not been won over on it, but that's just my honest opinion.
Unification's good. We like that bit. Happy with that bit. But maybe we lost a bit of functionality there. So maybe that's just something we need to deal with. It's over to you now, isn't it? I mean, you've got something to show us.
Let me just pop in. Just before I share my screen, I've got.
While you're doing that, let me just kind of go through some comments we've had when you're getting your screen ready. A good point here by Charity Accountants. The CIS functionality on the mobile app has been lacking since day one, hasn't it? We've never been able to raise a CIS client. The way we kind of got around it, or we've tried to showcase it a little bit as a workaround, is that there's that idea that you can do your estimates, almost your invoices on site, and then back at the office, that's when you can add the CIS, but it's not perfect in any way at all. Johan saying he loves the app. Yeah, I think it is a great little interface. I think it is nicer. And also it seems to be running faster. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't notice that, but I think if that's the case, then that's definitely a good thing. That's brilliant. And then we're saying here that it allows me to see stuff underneath. So that's with that new UI interface going from there. So that's good to see as well. Are you ready for us, Ash?
I certainly am, mate.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Bring that in.
So last week I was just having a play around in the audit log area, and I thought, something looks a little bit different to what I'm used to, and the screen has changed. Now I can still do pretty much the same things that I could do before. I can decide, filter, who am I looking at, what user am I looking at their actions, and am I looking at a particular, now the date here is not the financial date, it's the date when you actually did something. So the date changed, date last modified. So you can obviously put that in. It's a little bit easier now, I think, in terms of if you're not an accountant, you might not have seen this option as easy as before, unless you sort of knew where to go, what boxes to tick. Yeah. So if you are looking at your deleted or voided transactions only, this is great because it's easier to find them. But what I'm not so keen on is the amount of columns on the screen. So I've only got the date changed, the user, and the event. There's no value column, and there is no financial date column. And I sort of, looked in here, and there's no extra columns to change, so I can take columns out, but there aren't extra ones to put back in. And if I compare that to what we had originally, I've got the actual date and the amount. So if I was filtering that to just look at transactions, for example, I'll just apply that. Yeah, we've got, our values and the actual financial date, as well as the system date. So I think there's a bit of a step back there as to why we don't have everything that we really do need to see in the audit log. We can get around it by running the reports, but I've left some feedback on there. So if you are, keen on you leaving feedback for Intuit, don't forget you've got the feedback option when you're logged in. So you can leave feedback and say, can you please fix the audit log back to how it was? Which is what I did earlier on today, in a nice way, of course. So that's just my little bit there on the audit log.
See, my only devil's advocate of maybe why they've done this, and it just harps back to why, because we train this, don't we, in the training, in terms of showing them deleted versus voided. And one of the questions that always pops up is, why is this a 0 and why is that not a 0? If you deleted versus voided and all that sort of stuff. So maybe they were trying to get rid of that question being popped up as a confusion point. I mean, it's not. Personally, I'd prefer to see the amount, but if maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not convinced on that one. I'd like to see the amounts in there, just if I can. If you can obviously change the columns, can't you? But not enough on that one. So
maybe they're officially saying it's a backward step. Then I tried.
Maybe they might consider bringing it back, even if the amounts weren't in there. At least being able to look at the financial date as well as the system date.
Yes.
Because if we were able to filter against both of those dates on that screen, it would be even better. So be not just filtering about the report date, but at the same time within this date, which we can do in your reports. But if you can get straight to it from the audit log, it would be a little bit better. Just a little bit of how my brain works. Anyway, I'll still stop sharing.
Brilliant. And the only other bit of news we have today before we bring on our guest, which I'm really excited about, is just a PSA, really, and that's just so people are aware of it. We were looking at the Help to Grow scheme that's only just recently been announced. We were looking at that the other day. And it's interesting to note that you can actually get QuickBooks as part of that deal. So they class it as digital accounting, and there is other options there, Sage, Crunch, and other ones. No Xero, to put it out there. But QuickBooks is available as one of the options there, where for eligible businesses, you can get yourself. I think it's like a discounted for a year, maybe something like that. I think the deal with, I didn't quite go into it in much more detail on that, but just the option that if you've got a client who you're trying to get them over to some form of digital accounting, this might be an easy win for them, because who doesn't like a freebie? So maybe
is there a web link for that, Aaron? Is there like is it like helptogrow.com or some?
Yeah, exactly. On the government website, help to grow digital, that'll take you there. You have literally a 2-minute questionnaire to put in, basically asking you your current IT setup, and then what software you need. And if you tick the box that you need digital accounting, there's also e-commerce and CRM systems available as well. But the bit I'm interested in, or the bit I want to bring to everyone's attention, is you can get yourself some QuickBooks digital accounting software through the Help to Grow scheme. So that could be useful. And I definitely know a couple of clients who are still on the fence about moving over. This could be the way that we just get them over. They'll see the benefits of it, and hopefully from there they will be digital clients forevermore. Wonderful. Brilliant. Well, Ash, shall we bring in our guest for next?
I think it is time to bring Anita from behind the scenes.
If like magic, we'll bring her in now.
Should I appear like this? Hi, everyone.
we need like sparks coming when you come through. Welcome, Anita.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent.
Very good. Very good. Do you want to give an introduction of what LiveFlow is, who you are, and then we can start kind of going from there?
Well,
Definitely.
I've
Thanks
got
so
some
much.
questions ready, so I am prepared, Aaron, for a change. So, Anita, thank you very much for joining us. Really pleased to have you on with us. If you could just give us a little bit of a background about you before we pop into your demo.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Anita, co-founder of LiveFlow. Previously, I worked at Travelit, which is a fintech here in the UK, currently valued at $33 billion. So I joined it when it was still in a phase of extreme growth. I think we were like 300 people, and left when we were 2,000 and a half, and we just grew our valuation tremendously. And that's the place where I worked as a business developer. So essentially, I was in charge of the product called Rewards, and scaled it from 0 customers to 10 million users across Europe, United States, and APAC. And while scaling the product, I met Lasse, who used to be my colleague and now a co-founder. So back then, he was the head of growth in the Nordics, and he would manage the whole P&L of the Nordics. And we worked together like on signing various deals with the likes of Uber and Amazon, and something very small and local, like Beer 52, for example, here in the UK, or MyProtein or other brands. And what we figured out that it was incredibly difficult to work with the financial side of things when you deal with small businesses. And we saw that as an opportunity. So we thought about just the chance to explain them financials better and empower them with real-time tools. And Lasse himself, he ran several startups and companies in the past, like a coffee shop in Denmark, and later on a digital app, and he personally struggled with financial management. So we thought, well, we might bring the tools from the tech world to small and medium businesses and just give them the better solution. And that's how the idea of LiveFlow appeared. That happened end of year 2020, and we launched the company in 2021, January 2021. So we are 1 year old.
Excellent. Yeah, that sounds great. So what do you say, what are your sort of main pain points that you're sort of trying to eliminate sort of with LiveFlow? So what's the real sort of
Yeah, to say it simply, we just eliminate all possible errors and mistakes, and we just pipe all of the financial data from accounting platforms to Google Sheets in real time. Basically, we just automate manual reporting and just save you 10 hours of time at least a month.
So instead of exporting into Excel and then manually exporting and then manually putting some formulas in, we could sort of set it all up to begin with, and then just in future just hit a button.
Yeah, so right now, most likely you need to go to Quickbooks, download CSV, go to your Excel or Google Sheets, and then just make sense out of numbers and build your own custom dashboards that would make sense to your clients. And it's a very time-consuming process. You need to triple check everything, then attach the file. It's really inconvenient. So what we do instead, we just connect to Quickbooks via API. You choose the reports that you want to pull. We pull that on the cell level, and then out of this raw data, you can build your own report that will be just refreshed whenever you need it. So if your clients want to see the most recent data, it's super easy. They just go to Google Sheets and see all of the numbers in dashboards that you created for them.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. Who would you say is your main, target market? If you like, are you mainly for the accountants or the end user? Who do you see as using it the most?
Yeah, so we initially thought about small business owners, but then figured out that that's actually the accountants and CFOs, or fractional CFOs, finance managers, bookkeepers, who love the product. So it started to grow among this audience organically, and they started just to invite their friends and share it in Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups, etc. So clearly found the audience because the product found the audience first. That's how it happened.
Okay, cool. I mean, the reporting space in a lot of the app stores, whether it's QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, there are a lot of them, and so from a user's point of view, when you're sort of thinking, I really need some help with my monthly reporting, and you just go, you go to search reporting. You think, which one should I use? So why should we sort of think, actually, I think I need to give LiveFlow a go? Why should I go down that road?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think the place is getting hotter, but it's not won by anyone yet. People still do it manually, still download the CSV reports and consolidate all of the data offline. It's really inconvenient. So I think the journey is like maybe 1% complete. And the tool which is the fastest and the most convenient to the end user will win. And that's basically our mission. I think our main competitive advantage is the speed and quality. And what we do on a regular basis that helps us to deliver the best product is just talk to customers. So basically all of our customers are in contact with us. So you don't have this feedback button as you just showed in QuickBooks. You have direct contacts to the founders straight to Slack. We just don't wait. Like there is no gap or anything. You just throw your feedback at us. We reply within like a couple of minutes and we build for you. So if you follow our journey, you can see that we just delivered a few features, and that was purely because of the customers who requested those features.
Yeah, no, I mean that sounds great, and I really get what you're saying there, because I mean I've dabbled with reporting apps in the past, and I've always ended up basically going back to making something that is what I want to see, because they've got their own idea of what the report is. You get stacks of reports out of your accounting package anyway, but you might just want to add a little thing that's really specific to your needs. So I definitely get it. So do you want to have share your screen and start giving us a little tour?
Yeah, we'd love to. And yeah, please feel free to ask any questions on the way.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. So let's go. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's come through.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I'll explain how it all works from scratch. So these are Google Sheets where you can connect various apps through the Google Marketplace. So they sit in extensions, then you click add-ons and you just choose the add-ons that you want to add, and you can just add any add-ons to automate your job. So you can just explore it here, but we'll go and look for LiveFlow. So you see the app. Here you will see a blue button that will just have the call to action installed. So you click on this button and then LiveFlow will appear here on the menu. And then from here you can create live reports. So I'm going to show you a few use cases of the product. And then of course, please feel free to ask me any questions. So the first thing that appears here is the window that invites you to connect your QuickBooks account. You click here. Then you're redirected to the authorization screen. Here you would need to choose a company. So what I think is beautiful about LiveFlow is that you can connect as many companies as you wish. So if you're an accountant and you want to automate your reporting for several companies or for the company with multiple entities, you can easily do it with LiveFlow. So we choose demo and connect it. Then we just show you the message that you've successfully connected the account, and then you're redirected back to the demo screen. So here we have the company connected. If you have more companies, all of them will be listed here. To connect more companies, you just click connect to QuickBooks and you'll just choose those that you need. And then from here, we'll be able to choose a report. So I'll show you which reports we have for now, and obviously we're adding more reports as we speak. So for instance, we want to add the P&L report, and we choose the date range. So we can choose any date range. If you want to look, I don't know, 5 years back, we can easily support that. We just introduced the function to support very heavy reports with like 3,000 lines. So we can just try this year to last month, and then display columns by, and we choose how we want to see the columns. So typically it would be by month. And then of course you can use any of the filters here. So if, for instance, if you want to look at the P&L by department, you can choose it here. You can choose suppliers, employees, etc. So it's totally up to you. After that, you can give it a name, and then you create a live report. So once the report is created, you can collapse the window and then look into the numbers. So what I think is important is that you can set up this report to be updated whenever needed. So if you look at this P&L, we can see that it was updated today at 5 p.m. and we set it up as live. Of course, we can just switch it off and the numbers will not be pulled in real time, but I guess you would want the numbers to be refreshed at all times. So you can choose the schedule, so it can be every hour. So the case that we see on our end is when you share your report with your client and they just go to the spreadsheet, they have, let's say, view access here. And then they just check the numbers in your dashboards that you built for them. Alternatively, you can choose when I open the spreadsheet. So the numbers will be refreshed whenever you open your spreadsheet. So every time you will have this timestamp and you know when it was pulled last time. The next thing that I think is quite cool is the drill down feature, which appeared purely because of customer feedback. So we learned that accountants and CFOs don't really want to go back to QBO every single time. So we started with just giving a link that redirects you back to QuickBooks so that you can drill down into this particular number, but it's a little bit time consuming to open QBO for each of these transactions, right? So for that, we just built this drill down feature that allows you to look into this particular number. So we hover it over, open the drill down here, and then you can see all of these transactions. Of course, you can filter them and do whatever you prefer, like you do it in QBO, and you can do it for each of the reports and each of the transactions. So that's a quick overview of this banner. Let me know if you have any comments or questions here.
No, that's nice. That drill down there, that's a nice feature, definitely.
Cool, thanks. So then I would love to show you a few use cases. So if we go to the tabs here, we can see the first use case, which is a cell reference. So as discussed, you would love to tweak your reports, as Ash mentioned, like you would just create something special for your clients. And this is fair. So we appreciate in this case, you would just say like, okay, reference these cells and show me this particular report. So you can always create the cell reference here. I just put it as an example. So if you look here, there's a sum of these cells. So it means that whenever you have a new entry within the sales range, we'll just update these numbers for you. So let's imagine that there are no numbers and we want to refresh this particular report. So please pay attention to 32,500. So if you go to reports and then update the cell reference one, we'll see the numbers pulled from QuickBooks and none of the references are broken. So the idea here is just to populate the values inside the formulas that you already use. So you set it up once and then LiveFlow does the job for you.
Okay. On that particular one, if they're, because you've got, I don't know, say 10 customers
right
on that report, but if you had 20 customers, because since you've raised that report, you know, you've got your customer base has grown, that the length of that report will get longer. So would that formula automatically adjust to account for the increase?
Yeah, a good question. So of course, if you refer this cell, which is a total and has the sum of all of the cells, definitely it will. But if the formula refers the range here and the new line appears underneath, I think you would need to check the formula. Once again. It really depends where it appears within the range, right? Here I have an example that can probably help with that question. So basically that's the consolidated P&L that consolidates two entities connected. So these entities are a little bit different. They have one extra line with new expenses here. I'll just briefly show you the entities themselves. So that's one entity, which was pulled quite recently. And then there's another one. So the difference is that in the second entity, you have the line item called new expenses. So in the consolidated P&L, we have accounts ordered and we have a new line item for new expenses. So the way to think about it, Ash, to answer your question, you can just refer the whole range in the entity one. So you can see the formula which I used here, which is called index match, where we look at entity one and we just take into account all of the cells in the range, which is A10 to A45, right? So we take the entire entity and then we just match the account name. That's it. So this way you will be able to grab all of the account names, match them, and then of course, when you have new data, it will be just pulled in front of each of the accounts and you can switch between the months. So here you can see probably that there are some new expenses appearing in Entity 2. Cool. And yeah, anything to clarify here?
I can't think of anything. I mean, Aaron, you're the man that's probably got a few clients with that might need this consolidated feature.
Yeah. This is where we find. I mean, there's no. What I haven't said yet. I've been quite quiet about it, but I did a whole video on the solution. I think it was yesterday got released, and I absolutely love this solution. I mean, I will sing it over the rooftops because it's just so straightforward to use compared to other solutions we've seen. And what we use this particularly for is, yes, for a group structure, we can kind of build wonderful reports like this, and that works really, really well. And we can keep them updated and we can get them over to clients dead straightforward. But we get to then really start utilizing that data as well, put them into nice little graphs and charts and all of that sort of thing. And it really just gives you that added value to them. And clients think that you're kind of some sort of magician getting the data together. And once you've spent that time consolidating at the beginning, it's so good to use. So I absolutely love it as what it is at the moment.
I've got a little question just popped into my head because it was raised within our sort of WhatsApp group, Aaron, a little while ago. So you've got some businesses that might be part of the group.
Yeah.
3 of those businesses are using QuickBooks. 2 of those businesses are using Xero.
Right.
So on that connection, is it just one sort of platform at a time, or would you be able to connect to Xero and say QuickBooks or Sage, in fact, at the same time? So you could bring through, it's quite a tricky one, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it's probably one of the most popular questions, like when are you guys going to release Xero? That's fair. We don't have it yet, but I think it's Q1 this year. Basically, the way it works, we just collect feedback and requests and prioritize features based on that. So Xero is very popular, and we do need to release it so that you will be able to consolidate multiple entities, even if one is in Xero, another one in QuickBooks.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So it's on your roadmap.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. All right.
I think as well with this, like, with the kind of opportunities, I know you're showing here about the consolidated P&L, and they're an example of how this can be really useful. But we really push and we really talk about how the data in your bookkeeping and everything else is so critical, because there's so kind of mission critical elements in there. And we've used a solution like this by putting information into Excel or into Google Sheets. That gives us an opportunity to run tasks based on what real-time information has happened. So we will run tasks based on exactly what's happening in our sales. So if we raise a sales invoice today for bookkeeping, for example, we've got it so that it's bringing the data in and using that as a task management. And when you start kind of seeing that and start seeing how powerful both QuickBooks and what Google Sheets can do for you, you can start really making some great automations for you and your practice, and then ultimately for your clients as well.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we saw that and thought, like, why don't we just build something that will solve such a huge problem that people face?
Definitely.
Yeah, there's one use case that I have left here. So it's the P&L looking into the future. So we just discussed that it does make sense to automate it once and don't really think about it. So the way to do it is just to create a report with a custom date range where you say, like, okay, let's look into the numbers till, let's say, the end of May. And then whenever you have a new entry, this particular report will be populated with new numbers. So the way to think about it is just to create a report and in the date range, choose the date that will just go somewhere till the end of, for example, this year, December 31st. And then, yeah, the idea is very straightforward. Just give you this data whenever you need it, refreshed for you. Yeah, so that's another thing that we have, and that's pretty much it. Let me know if you want to clarify anything.
Have you played around, with it using Google Sheets and everything? Have you played around with that data studio with Google? I don't know if would it play nicely with that, do you think?
Well, it's basically just the same data, but automate it for you. So you can easily build whatever you prefer with Google Data Studio. And yeah, it will just do the job.
Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely something to think about, because I know a lot of our clients have started using the Data Studio and they quite like
That's quite
it.
cool. Yeah, that's quite advanced.
Excellent.
We've got a question in, Aaron, from I think Paul at Chariot Accountants. So, I mean, is it does it work with Excel, desktop or online, or is it just Google Sheets?
Yeah, for now, just Google Sheets, unfortunately. The thing is that their API for developers like ourselves is quite straightforward. So basically, we can just build something on top and be very flexible in how it looks and feels. It's not quite the same with Excel. So we just decided to go for the very kind of straightforward path that helps to automate the job real fast and then share it with other people.
From my experience as well, like I love Excel, and I always, try and use Excel as my first point of call. But for something like this, Google Sheets just lends so much more functionality. If you ever go into kind of the macros and everything else that Google Sheets can do, you can really push it to give you some real like task management solutions, as we were saying before, and everything else. So I think it's I think it's the right place to be in Google Sheets. It's more like you'll get that real time, that live connection, won't you? Where you wouldn't necessarily get that with Excel.
Yeah, I think the benefit that they are in the cloud and they allow other companies to build on top, so that you feel really empowered with all the other tools that you can just build on top of Google Sheets.
Cool. So generally, I mean, how long does it sort of take for people to sort of get up and running? Would you say once when you've sort of connected, your QuickBooks to live flow? How long would you say to sort of get people, take people to sort of get used to using the software and building the reports that they need?
It really depends on the complexity that you have on your side. If you have like very tailored reports saved, I think it's necessary just to bring LiveFlow to that particular spreadsheet and then just reference the cells. You can just use your existing sheets. That's really comfortable. So it really depends. Like the fastest I've seen is 10 minutes. And then, of course, it can be like 30 minutes and more. It really depends on your setup and how you prefer your reports to look finally at the very end. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I said I've asked that question, so it makes sense. Really, it's like how long is a piece of string? I suppose the benefit of this is that if you've got your financial data in one place, but you don't necessarily want clients or anyone else logging into QuickBooks to look at the reports, then they can just
I think
log in into this area where they can't touch anything or damage anything.
That's the biggest thing that we've heard from accountants. Like, I don't want my clients just to go there and just mess things up. So you can just give them the Google Sheet with the view access, and then they just view it. They don't really touch anything. Everything is neat and nice as you gave it to them. Plus, we don't charge on a user basis. So you can just invite as many people as you wish, whilst with QuickBooks, you would need to pay per seat, and it's not that comfortable, I think.
Yeah.
And
sorry, Aaron.
Yeah, I just think just in general, maybe a question you won't know the exact answer to, but like one of the other use cases that we started using this solution for is health checks for clients. So as we have many clients we're looking after, the idea is to have that dashboard of, right, here's all our clients together in one area, and oh look, this client has got something wrong with it. Maybe they've got negative debtors or something like that. We bring it in there. But one of the data that we can't seem to ever get from any solution is, the bank data, as in, how many transactions they need to categorize or anything like that. And I assume that's kind of the API's restriction more than anything. Do you know if that's correct or not?
So I can comment on that. So you can definitely connect the transaction report from QBO, but what we heard from our customers that they are not really happy with this report on QBO because there is a lag. And what they ask us to do is just to connect to banks directly so that they can have multiple bank accounts. So for instance, you have Revolut and HSBC or Barclays, else, and you want to see several feeds in one spreadsheet. So we learned how to do this. We partner up with a company called Plaid. They allow you to connect bank data, but as you can imagine, it's quite difficult to launch in the UK without being authorized by the Financial Conduct Authority. So we finally got their approval. That's the good news, and we are working on the bank integration. It's also very popular, a popular request among our customers.
Amazing. So you would see kind of in that site kind of scenario then is the individual bank accounts will be connected, and then almost your health check could be that those individual banks are being up or agree to what QuickBooks is.
Right. Yeah, and it will be all instant compared to what you can see currently at QuickBooks.
Right. Perfect. I think that could work well.
So what sort of training and support do you have, once people have signed up and sort of get, underway, perhaps they get a little bit stuck or just need a helping hand? How does all that work?
Yeah. So first thing, we try just to help immediately. So as mentioned, we do love to have our customers within our Slack. So we just create a shared channel, and then whenever you have a question, you can just throw it at us. If you don't have Slack, that also happens. You have a button within the app where you can just send us instant feedback. And again, it goes straight to where we are, to our Slack, and we just respond to you immediately. If you need a phone call, it's totally fine. We are happy to have a call or Zoom, Google Meet call, whatever you fancy. But we try just to be as helpful as possible. Apart from that, we have templates. So we figured out that there are very popular templates. For instance, P&L, the consolidated P&L, that's the top one. Then P&L by class and budget versus actuals. So we pre-build those templates, and you can just start using them straight away.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Is there any? Okay.
I'll let you go first, Aaron. You go first.
Have you on the roadmap? Have you got any kind of any look into going the other way? So at the moment, it's a one-way street, isn't it? The integration where it'll pull the data from QuickBooks. But have you considered, or is there any need for it? Has the customers kind of asked for that before? Is there a chance to go the other way and maybe update QuickBooks from Google Sheets?
Yeah, I think we had just a couple of requests for the two-way sync. Basically, when you push data back to QuickBooks, but it's not that popular, to be honest, compared to other requests that I mentioned. Yeah,
I can imagine. Just interesting, because there would be use cases for it, but I think it's very niche, isn't it, for those ones who are sometimes finding a kind of maybe a dedicated app for whatever they're trying to put that data in will probably be a better solution, maybe.
Yep.
Ash?
Of course, the crunch question is, how much does this cost? Because I'm sure everyone wants to know that. As an app provider myself, I know accountants don't like spending a lot of money sometimes, so you need to get to these points.
Yeah. So actually, it's not that expensive in my opinion. We did the pricing study and figured out that the ideal price to start with is $19 per company. So you have a free trial for 2 weeks. You test it out, like you can connect as many companies as you wish and see how all of the data flow in. You invite people, so you enjoy the full the full access to the product. And then if you love it, you can just subscribe. One company is $90, and then it decreases depending on the volume that you are going to connect.
It's that age-old thing, isn't it, Ash, where we always talk about where, the amount of time you can save for doing it manually, isn't it? It pays for itself most of the time, especially for the consolidations and stuff. But you've been there before, haven't you, Ash, with
absolutely. Once you've built something and you've got it in place, it means that you haven't got to do that job again for the next however many months, years, then these things should just pay for themselves in next to no time. And it's always one of those things. How do you value your time? Would you rather sit there for 3 hours on a spreadsheet, or would you rather spend 15 quid? I know what I'd rather do.
I feel in our use case, although from the consolidation point of view, we don't use it as often, or it doesn't come up with every single client we've got. It's again, it'll be a niche case when they do need to consolidate. But every single client of ours benefits from that fact that we can bring in live sales data. And again, like I said, our task management solution is all built around what sales invoices we sent out that week or that month. So, it's a difference between someone getting their bookkeeping done in a month or not. So for us, it's it's a lifesaver having that sort of connection. And
Thanks so much.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, music to my ears. Thank you.
All right, Aaron, I think we better start wrapping it up, haven't we? I think we've got,
Yeah.
there's another comment there from Paul at
Oh,
Sherry.
yeah. Coming down here. Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think that's Google Sheets has got that benefit, hasn't it, of sharing it, and people they gravitate to it a lot, don't they? In terms of it's kind of comfortably numb, isn't it? Google Sheets with them.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I've noticed a lot, and a lot of people are still talking about kind of Excel versus Google Sheets, but I like to think I'm quite efficient in both of them, and I from a feature parity point of view, I've never really found anything that one can do and one can't anymore. I think those days of Google Sheets being a little bit lagging behind is gone, and now they're pretty much identical, and few cases where there's difference, but they're for many of the power users more than anything else.
Okay. Well, thanks, Anita, for joining us. So have we got anything else to cover? Oh, and I suppose we should say, where can people find you? What's your website address?
Well, it's liveflow.io. That's the easiest way to find it. If you want to talk to me and ask something, I'm more than happy. It's Anita@liveflow.io, or my LinkedIn, Anita Kaimur. You can see my name probably here in the description.
Yep, we'll add it, don't we?
Thanks so much.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So again, thank you very much, Anita. I think it's been brilliant. I personally use the software, so I can definitely say that I would recommend it. And yeah, more people who know about it, I think the better. I think as soon as people see that use case once and it clicks for them, yeah, you'll kind of get addicted to using it going forward. So wonderful. Brilliant. Ash, anything that we need to cover? I suppose we need to talk about when the next QuickBooks Labs is, don't we?
Well, it's QuickBooks Connect very soon, next month, on the 9th and 10th of March, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I just looked it up a little while ago on both days. I think it's, I forget which is it, small business on one day and accountants based on the
Normally
next.
accountants first, isn't it? And then
Are you registered, Anita, to attend?
Yeah, I would love to.
So if you just go to QuickBooks, I think if you just Google QuickBooks Connect 2022, you can register to attend the events. They're free, so you can just sort of find out what's going on. Sometimes it's worth sort of attending to see. I think the talks are recorded as well. Aaron, you're doing a little piece, aren't you?
Yeah, and so are you, aren't you? So yeah, we'll see our faces on it.
That's nice.
Yeah, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, for some announcements of the.
So it's going to be fully offline, right?
Yeah, this year. Yeah, another.
Fantastic. Back to all sorts of things offline. That's great.
Brilliant.
I think our next QuickBooks Labs is going to be at 4:30 on the second day. So Thursday, the 10th of March, we'll have our, we can have a little catch up, and I'll get in touch with Johan because he may join us for a little bit of a chat on that day.
Yeah, and we're hoping for some actual announcements. That's what we want, everyone. So yeah, be good. Right.
Okay.
I suppose anything else? Actually, got any kind of videos or content or anything dropping, anything like that?
No, nothing planned at the moment. Just got some updates to release from NetTracker over the next couple of weeks, and then I'll keep you posted on those next time around. How about you?
Yeah, we got some good videos. Maybe some more live flow videos coming in as well. You just have to wait and see on that one. I'm not going to give anything away, but definitely before the next time we're live, there'll be something dropping for that one. So yeah, looking forward to it. And Anita, do you have any kind of social channels or anything people should follow you on or anything like that? Or any YouTube you want to plug, anything like that?
Yeah, so Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, it's all live flow. Nothing crazy about it. We just post some use cases, templates, case studies, all sorts of useful info that can help you to be more successful accountant and CFO.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds like an absolute winner. Brilliant. All right. Well, with that, then, I think we are good to go. Ash, thank you very much. Anita, that's been absolutely brilliant.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Thanks so much. My pleasure.
Thanks, Aaron.
See you.
Cheers,
Thank you.
everyone. And we will see
Thank you,
you
Robin.
Bye-bye.
in a month's time. Cheerio.
Bye.